Welcome to Adam's Athenaeum. Let's take a look together through the news and records of our times as we try to shed light upon the unvarnished truth. Thanks for coming back to listen to this episode about the attempted assassination of a New York gubernatorial candidate. Lee Zeldin is a gubernatorial candidate for the office of governor of New York. He was holding a rally this week when a man wearing an Operation Iraqi Freedom hat, so you'd assume he's a veteran, went on stage to attack candidate Zeldin using a small weapon called a self-defense cat keychain. It is approximately the size of your palm. It has two protrusions that look similar to ears that you can hold in your hand, and you can use the object to stab, slash, or punch your opponent. Fortunately, the candidate is a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve and had the training and wherewithal to see and stop this incoming attack. Now, this is not the first assassination attempt of a person of political importance. Within the last few weeks, a man went to Justice Kavanaugh's home in an attempt to assassinate him. Whether you want to admit it or not, civil war is here. The kinetic phase of civil war, or of civil conflict, has been starting since the riots of 2020, and has scaled up to attempted assassination of political figures. We have moved beyond simply fourth and fifth generational warfare, or digital campaigns. Political parties have taken sides, and each side is accusing the other of causing the conflict. Let's get a little more background on this story from an article in the New York Post titled, "Prosecuting Lee Zeldin's Attacker in Federal Court is the Only Way to Real Justice," written by Andrew McCarthy. In it, he writes, "Here's all you need to know about the dissolute state of the Empire State. The man who violently attacked a candidate for governor during a political speech in broad daylight with media cameras rolling was released on his own recognizance just hours after the attack. Sadly, the potentially deadly assault on Republican Representative Lee Zeldin in upstate New York may be the best illustration of why it is so vital that he be elected. The incumbent against whom he is running, hapless Governor Kathy Hochul, tweeted feebly, 'I condemn this violent behavior in the strongest terms possible. It has no place in New York.' No, New York is the perfect place for it. Under Hochul and her fellow Democrats, the state that once led the nation's revolutionary reduction in crime has once again become a paradise for criminals." Zeldin's alleged assailant, 43-year-old, I'm not even going to say his name because he's a piece of trash. The alleged assailant, 43-year-old from Fairport, New York, was released without even having to post a bond, despite overwhelming evidence that he has committed a life-threatening felony. Now that's because New York's lunatic bail laws, even after the weak T reforms, Hochul championed earlier this year, they do not permit judges to order pretrial detention of defendants who are patent dangers to the community. This puts New York out of step with virtually every state in the Union. It also puts New York out of step with the federal government. That matters in this case because Zeldin happens to be a United States congressman. As it happens, then, this was not just any assault. It was an assault on a federal official under U.S. law. It was committed with a deadly or dangerous weapon, an object similar to brass knuckles, but with protruding sharp points for stabbing, slicing, and piercing. That would make it punishable by imprisonment in a federal penitentiary for up to 20 years. By contrast, in Monroe County, state authorities charged the offender with attempted assault in the second degree. Did that look like just an attempt to you, they write? Thankfully, Zeldin was not seriously injured, but that works against the public under New York law. Even though there plainly appears to have been intent to do potentially mortal harm, the lack of a serious injury, thanks only to the intervention of bystanders, meant the attack did not qualify for serious treatment under New York's bail law. In New York, dangerousness is not a permissible factor for a judge to weigh in setting bail. Defendants are released with instructions to return for the next court date, which we hope they'll follow, but they often don't. Under New York law, moreover, the defendant may be looking at just 2 years imprisonment if convicted. Indeed, there would be no jail time at all if, as is typical in this state, prosecutors plead the charge down to a nonviolent felony on the rationale that Zeldin was not killed or badly wounded. Now the story continues, but that really gave us all we needed to know about this attack. Democratic cities allow and excuse criminal activities and attempted assassinations. They allow looting and riots. They allow Stephen Colbert's supporters to storm the Capitol, similar to January 6th. Because in all of these states and cases, Democrats were not charged or were released without bail for committing these acts. The political arm of the Democratic Party is allowing its metaphorical street soldiers to start the fights, and then covers for them when shit hits the fan. Again, this was the second attempted assassination of a political figure within just this year, and the assailant, who is on film and identifiable, is now again walking the streets, just days after trying to murder somebody. Bail laws have to change. If there is anything violent about your charges, you should not be entitled to bail, in my opinion. If your charges are abuses against minors, you should have no bail. Pretrial confinement is more than appropriate for someone who tried to commit murder. If they were trying to kill once, would they not be willing to try it a second time? I mean, hell, the Democrats decided it was perfectly reasonable to lock up January 6th defendants in solitary confinement for over a year, in some instances not giving medical attention to broken bones for months, all because of simple trespassing charges. You have people who love America locked up in federal jails for misdemeanor offenses, yet assumed Democratic supporters continually attempt to commit murder, riots and looting, and don't get charged, or their charges are dropped, or Kamala Harris and Joe Biden staffers bail these people out of jail. The double standard is clear, the conflict is clear, and the teams are distinctly clear. Now, most Americans lie in the middle and just want to raise their kids in a safe and successful country. Approximately 15% of the country, or the far left, Marxists, socialists, anarchists, democratic socialists, and communists, shout out in the streets and on Twitter, and they think they run the show. The conflict is here. So I ask, where do you stand? Do you stand for law and order, or for reparations and stealing from major corporations since they have insurance? Do you stand for life, for all Americans of all ages, races, creeds, and nationalities? Or do you kill babies in the womb, attempt to assassinate political figures, and steal land from American citizens in the riots of 2020, declare it as a different country than the US, and commit murder and rape? Do you support the Constitution and its democratic processes? Or would you use the power of the state to silence your political opponents, or those whose opinion differs from yours? Are you an American patriot, or are you a democratic socialist? If you're an old school Democrat who's moderate and reasonable, I pity you. The Democratic Party left you and your values in the dust. This nation is losing its ethics, morality, and respect for life. If they're not already lost, that is. In these dark times, you are your first responder, defender, food gatherer, and intelligence hub. We cannot forget to help out our fellow man and woman and support those who fight for the right things. We must also be prepared now that conflict continues to escalate, and yet we should not try to escalate it any further. I love this saying from a Navy SEAL, Jocko Willink. I may butcher it, but essentially he says, you should avoid war at all costs. War is hell. But if you must go to war, you must commit to the end solution and be prepared to kill and be prepared to die. I don't believe most Americans want that. Any veteran will tell you that you don't want war. And I believe most people in America are polar opposites to our officials in Washington and the invisible Twitter warriors who managed to get a Dave Chappelle show canceled. I believe most of us want to go back in time slightly, before all of this woke, ideological nonsense about transgenderism, critical race theory, feminism's later waves, and political correctness. I think most people want to go back to watching sports and arguing about calls the referee made, and not what political stances the players are making or what slogans are being crammed down your throat in advertisements on the Jumbotron. We can go back, but we must retake control of this country, its ideals, morals, and ethics, and essentially the culture. We must educate our youth better. And lastly, we need to chill the hell out. War is hell, and you don't want to keep leading things down that path. Now, I appreciate you all coming back for this episode, and as always, if you have anything bothering you or an opinion that you want to make known, please stop by this comment section, as I stay active there. Also, I post videos at least once a week, if not twice a week, so be sure to subscribe, so you don't miss any notifications of new news or videos. Finally, I like to mention that I want to grow this channel. I want more journalism and news capabilities for this channel, and to also have another channel for more opinionated content. I gotta start small to make something effective for the long term, and with your help, we can get there. Thanks for coming, and I'll see y'all in a couple of days.